Hi, Ophir. Thank you so much for joining us for GPJFF in Conversation. We are thrilled to bring back the CAKEMAKER for our new Netflix watch series and have this opportunity to chat with you about your beautiful film.
Können Sie vielleicht mit mir kommen? Es war sehr schön, mit ein echter Berliner mir das zeigt.
Ich bin kein echter Berliner, aber ja, ich kann Sie gerne hinführen.
First of all, I'd love to congratulate you on the success of The CAKEMAKER. I personally found the film to be beautiful, honest, and your direction and the acting to be superb. The other thing is that when I first heard that this film received a standing ovation at its world premiere, I have to say I wasn't even surprised. I feel like The CAKEMAKER is so relatable because at its core, this is a simple human story about people and their experiences with love, sorrow, grief, and healing. And I feel that all of us have experienced these feelings and can relate to the characters up there on the big screen. I mean, we can see aspects of ourselves in Oren, Tomas, or Annette. So thank you so much for bringing this story to life in such an honest and moving way. So my first question for you is, what real-life events inspired the story, and what was the filmmaking process like taking this idea and transforming it into the film we know today?
The real event that inspired the story, or let's say triggered the story, was the death of a friend of mine. He had a double life. He had a wife and children and a respected job in his community, but he was also having secret affairs with men. And when he died, so the truth kind of was exposed to his wife. And that was, I think, almost like 11 years ago when I was still a film student. And I knew already then I really want to tell that story about a woman who her husband died and she finds out that he was not who she thought she is. And she has to deal with the question, how can she mourn him? So this is basically where it came from. It came from the idea as, let's say, an inspiration. I didn't want to tell their story. I wanted to take some elements from it. But I really wanted to tell them a film which happens in the kitchen. This was like my biggest idea, to have a protagonist who's a baker. Because I just love baking and I love eating. There is food in all my short films. There was always something with food involved. I think that food and cooking and baking and everything around it it brings so many meanings, so many associations, culture and heritage and family and loss and memories and childhood. So many things that are combined with it. So I wanted to take that theme of the food, and then I combined it with that idea that was actually based on reality, and that's more or less how I created the story. And for the setting of the story, I put two cities in which I actually lived. I actually lived in Jerusalem and Berlin. I was going back and forth in the last 9 years almost, right after I finished the film school. So this connection between Berlin, Jerusalem, and those two like crazy different cities were very different from each other, but also very similar in some way. This was my idea of combining everything and creating the story of the CAKEMAKER.
Can you talk about your approach to working with your actors, and whether you're more a director who enjoys a collaborative style where your actors influence the characters they play, or whether you have it all figured out before the shooting process even begins?
My approach is basically very flexible. I love to work with actors, and I love to hear what they have to say. And doesn't mean I'm gonna take it, but the actors are they're people. I don't see them as actors. I see them as real people. So what they do the moment they start reading the dialogues and doing the scenes together, so everything becomes alive. The script is very boring. It's pages with black font printed on it, but like actors have. They really bring something into the film, and I love that, and I love to use that. I mean, if it works, of course. I have a vision of how I want them to act and how I want them to behave and how I want them to move, even like their body movements, things like this. I see all of it in my head. But once we are on set, I love to see what they bring, from their own world, from their own experience. For example, when we shoot a scene, so sometimes, not always, but sometimes we tell them like the borders. You say, okay, this is where you can be in the term of the technicality of the camera and the lights. This is your location. Start and do the scene, but do the scene in your own pacing. Do your beats in your own pacing and say the things in your own words. I mean, don't say them like written on the script, but say it in your own language, let's say. And when they do that, it's fantastic because it just brings out something much more authentic. It's like shooting a documentary, actually. So I really love to do that in a way. It doesn't always work because sometimes it's not exactly in coordinates with the entire thing. So, okay, let's do it slowly. Let's do it faster. Let's do it a bit different emotional tone. But this is something I really love to do, to just let the actors bring themselves into the story. I think it's I don't know, I just like it.
My next question is, which character or characters were you most sympathetic to? And did your own personal feelings about these characters influence the direction of your film?
I love all the characters in my film. Love them not because of the way they're written or the way they're performed, just love them as people. I don't see them as characters. I see them as real people. Even the brother-in-law, I think he's a good man. He wants to protect the wife of his dead brother. He's mourning for his brother. He doesn't really like this Thomas guy, but on the other hand, he finds him an apartment and invites him for Shabbat, and he brings him food that his mother cooked. So I mean, if you ask about personal feelings, I have. So I don't want to judge them. Thomas, like everything he does, I think let's say in the beginning at least, it's manipulative. It's not really, he's lying to her. He's making her in a way fall in love with him. But can I judge him? No. I mean, the guy is heartbroken. He doesn't have anything else. He's lonely. He's sad, and he finds beautiful things in that place. Things that he didn't know about. So I really, I want to love my characters. I want to not judge them. I also love the grandmother very much. I think she's, she only has 3 scenes, but she's really one of my favorites. Like overall, she's a religious woman. Okay, like accepting Thomas in a way, which she does. Is against her values, against her ideas, but she's the person who mostly understands him. Like from the second she sees him, she is sympathetic to him, and this empathy, this acceptance, this warmth. She even lets him see the room. It's not something I would expect her to do, but nevertheless she does it, and that's why I really love and appreciate her as well as I do all my characters. Of course, I love Thomas and Anat very much. They are like my gods, but this is obvious, Yeah, I love everyone. I love the kid and even the waitress. They're all just people in this place in Jerusalem.
There were several visual clues and some dialogue which lent insight into your characters' pasts. For instance, when Tomas finds the pack of condoms in Oren's gym locker, this discovery made me think that perhaps Tomas can now really empathize more with Anat's experience and see Oren from her point of view. And maybe this strengthened his connection with her. Also, when Tomas confided to Oren about his own past, being raised by his grandmother who had recently passed away, I believe 2 years before that, and growing up without a father and not having a mother. Perhaps this was Tomas's way of communicating to Oren that Oren was his first real experience outside, the very familial love that his grandmom bestowed upon him throughout his life, that this was his first romantic or sexual experience, and this was his first opportunity to really understand his own sexual identity. Is this what you intended these elements to communicate to your audience?
Yes, I did. It was very important for me when I started writing and when I developed the story to give different perspective. To start with Thomas' story. He's our, let's say, hero, our protagonist. I don't like the word hero. This is not Avengers. We start with him. It's his point of view, his perspective. And then slowly, when he comes to Jerusalem, we learn to get to know Anat, and we get to know her side of the story, and to get to know the world she lives in together with him. And so she eventually will become our protagonist. She is, like in the end of the film, she is our let's say, hero. And this was really, really important for me to do, because I think that this shift of the point of view allowed us to understand people more, allows us to observe more and get different ideas of who they are than let's say, the first impressions we have or the first ideas we have. I think it's more human. I also want to do it. I'm going to do it in my second film. This shift of perspective, seeing a story from different ideas, and as the story progresses, we learn more and more and more about who these people, and it gives us a different idea of them. And it really is for me, like, I think an important thing to do, because it can really lead us, if we get to know people in a different way, it can lead us to understanding and to forgive, to reconcile, everything that our world needs, and everything that we need as humans. So it is very, very handpicked, very intentional, like each one of those things.
What aspect of the filmmaking process do you enjoy most, and what do you find the most challenging?
I enjoy most working on set. This is for me the greatest joy and pleasure. Everything until the set is theoretical. It's papers, timelines, schedules, meetings. Once you're on set, it's alive. You see it in front of your eyes. The actors pick up the props and talk to each other and get into character, and they wear the clothes, and the lights, and the like, even the sound, the sound is mostly provided afterwards, but you have the sound of the original sound of the place. It's just like working on the set is the most amazing thing, the most thing I enjoy, especially because you work so long to get to that moment, and when that happens, it's so short. I mean, I worked on developing the film and trying to finance it for like 7 years, and then the shooting was how much was it? 20 days, 21 days, like the whole shoot. Jerusalem and Berlin, like everything together, 21 days. So you work so hard, and then you get to that moment. So it's just it's a real pleasure to work on the set. It's like a meal. You cook a meal, like a big meal. You have like 10 dishes and the dessert and the bread and the all the small salads and everything. You prepare everything for like you cook for like 3 days, and then sit together for 1 hour. All the food is done. Everybody is happy. It's just the best part is to eat, right? So that's how I see it. Regarding what's challenging, so I mean, of course, the banal thing would be to say to finance the film. That's really challenging. This film was really a challenging thing to do, to finance it, which eventually also didn't really succeed. We got very, very little money. It's actually a micro budget film. The thing about the financing process is that it has nothing to do with film. I mean, you just you have to transcend your ideas to people who will greenlight the film and provide you the money to do it. But in that stage, you have nothing. You only have a piece of paper, so you can't really do it in a nice, funny way. It's not fun. So this is really challenging to really be able to do it. But let's say if I try to be a little less banal, even though I don't think I can, like a big challenge is to really balance the vision that you have, what you want to accomplish, what I see in my head with the reality of what I can get, like from everything from the background music in the cafe to the number of stunts in the street, which are not stunts, they're just people walking in the street. It's really finding the right balance between what you have and what you can have, in a way which will still provide the vision that you want to do. This is really like a big challenge, especially when you work so long on a project. So many years, 8 years until the film was done. Crazy. So yeah, challenging.
Are you currently working on your next project, and how has that been going during the pandemic?
Well, I was supposed to shoot a film, but I can't. I mean, on the 5th of May, like I should have been on a set right now in Tel Aviv. I've been working on a new film called America. We were supposed to shoot it, and somewhere in the mid of March, we already realized that it's not going to happen. We were really in the pre-production. We had the locations and the actors. All the casting was fixed. Everything. We had everything in place. Just planning the last things before the shoot, but then we realized it's not going to happen. So everything stopped. Right now, I'm using the time to make some adjustment to the script. Changing some things. I'm also working on other projects, other scripts that I plan to shoot. But right now we don't know, like nobody know when are we able to shoot again. Is there going to be a second wave of COVID? What kind of conditions are we going to have during the production? We have some old actors. How are we going to protect them? It's a real challenging time for all of us, in every aspect. Emotional, creative, financial. It's a really, really crazy time. But it's just something we have to hope for the best. That we have to, be optimistic and continue and do things like this, like what you're doing, which is great. To continue, reviving this culture and the art and film and just creating this initiative. I think it's great. Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. Let's just hope everybody stay healthy and that we kill this disease. I think it's really, it's not really about movies. I find it important to say how I hope that this whole experience, this international, worldwide experience. I don't remember last time like something like that happened, which everybody was influenced, the entire world. So I hope that let's say the world communities, all the governments, all the institutions, and all the big companies will learn a lesson. And not only there will be a vaccine, and not only there will be a medication, but also we will learn other things which can help us, let's say, improve the world we live in and be more ready for such things, and start listening to what the environment is telling us and what nature is telling us. I hope that things are going to be better from now.
Thanks so much, Ophir, and we look forward to your next project, and we hope to speak with you again soon.
Thank you, Olivia. I really enjoyed it, actually, and thank you, all the audience at home who stayed along with the conversation. Stay healthy, be careful, take care of your, old people and sick people, take care of your kids, and maybe we'll see each other next year or in 2 years in Philadelphia with a new movie or without, I don't know. Take care.